Alright, so things have been kind of slow this week. I'm guessing Carl figured we needed more of a break based on the fact that our drills haven't been as intense. Now, from where I left off, we were dealing with a major issue. Carl, we can't stay on the road in this thing, I said. He groaned in response. I know that, Pete. It's a damn shame, though. I've had this car since I was 16. I'm going to hate to see it go. Despite us not being aware that Carl was that fond of his car until then, we still felt bad for him. Unfortunately, we just didn't have the time to get it repaired. On top of that, the cost would probably have ended up being more than just getting another car. Oh well, Carl continued, we better find a dealership before a cop pulls us over. It luckily didn't take us long to find one, although Carl managed to get a pretty good deal from selling his car, and given its condition, the purchase of another one cost him a pretty good bit. I didn't think that would cost so much, he said as we were driving away from the dealership. Is that going to be a big deal? Nick asked him. It might be. I thought you were carrying all your money, I said. No, I was carrying half of it. The other half is in my store safe. Do you have enough to reach where we're headed? Carl didn't say anything for a moment, thinking the question over. I should, but if we have a chance to get more, I think we should take it. As it turned out, an opportunity would be arising for us soon. A little while later, we got hungry, so we decided to stop for some Mexican food. Not wanting to risk anyone eavesdropping on us, we chose to eat outside. Pete, why are you using a fork to eat your nachos? Nick asked. A large plate of them sat in front of me. They were steak nachos with extra jalapenos, and I was having them with a glass of Dr. Pepper. Carl was having a plate of chicken enchiladas, and Nick was having some shrimp fajitas. The former had a bottle of beer served with his meal, and the later had a glass of strawberry lemonade. Because of this, I replied, lifting the bottom of my nachos to reveal plain chips. This has happened to me a number of times at these kind of restaurants. They just dump the toppings onto the chips, leaving the ones at the bottom untouched and plain. That's why I've picked up the habit of sort of folding them on top of each other whenever I get a plate, in order to try to make sure that all of the chips get some topping on them. And still, it was a nice change of pace from convenience stores and snack food machines. As I was explaining my restaurant nachos gripe to Nick, Carl spoke up. Could we focus, please? He asked us, catching our attention. Okay, so what should we discuss first? Why this shit keeps happening to us, I responded, referring to our paranormal experiences thus far. We've been on the road for 3 weeks now, and each of those events happened to us a week apart, Nick said. Maybe we're cursed. He took a bite of his fajitas, then sipped his drink. That would be just our luck, wouldn't it? I said, putting a chip into my mouth. It could be a matter of distance, not time, Carl pointed out. How do you figure? Well, whenever they've happened, we've traveled around the same amount of distance. In order to confirm this, I think we need to test it. Wouldn't that only prove that they've been happening to us when a certain condition is met, and not why they have? Nick pointed out. True, but at least we'd know. Anyway, I think we should move on to figuring out how to make up for our financial setback. I have my card on me. If the right bank is around here, I can withdraw all my money, I offered. It wouldn't be worth the risk, Carl replied, shaking his head. Yeah, I figured. I just thought I'd put it out there. We bounced back ideas for a little while, none of which were viable, unfortunately. Having finished our food, we paid our bill and left. When we got back outside, we found a distraught-sounding woman having a phone call in the parking lot. I know that place is dangerous, but I don't know who else to turn to. You know I can't do it myself, so is there anyone you know that would be willing to help me? She let out a sigh as the person on the other end of the call presumably gave her a disappointing answer. I understand. Thanks anyway. It was after putting her phone in her purse did she notice us. Were you listening to that? She asked with a hint of annoyance. Eavesdroppers are so annoying. We weren't trying to, lady, I said defensively. If you didn't want anyone to hear you talking, you shouldn't have had your call outside. At that, her look of irritation faded into one of guilt. You're right. I'm sorry. I've been under a lot of stress lately. It's all right, but what exactly has you worried? Well, this is going to sound really strange, I know, but would you three consider yourself paranormal investigators? We exchanged a look with each other. Kinda, I replied. Her eyes lit up at that. Oh, good, then maybe you can help me, she said, getting noticeably more excited until she stopped herself and began inhaling and exhaling deeply. Are you okay? Nick asked. I'm fine. I just have to make sure I don't get too excited. Heart condition. Anyway, do you guys think you can help? With what exactly? Carl said. My dog ran off. Sorry to hear that. What does that have to do with the paranormal, though? Because of where she ran off to. Well, we'd love to help you, but we need to get going. We started to leave when she spoke up again. Wait, I'll pay you. Actually, we may be able to stay for a little bit longer after all, Carl told her. Through getting acquainted, we learned that her name was Mindy. Apparently, her dog got lost in a trailer park that was reported to be haunted. How do you know for sure that it is? Carl inquired. Because of the disappearances. She explained that one night, 20 years ago, all the residents in the trailer park went missing. None of their things were gone. They just seemed to have vanished into thin air. Over the years, a number of curious kids would try to go and explore it and end up missing themselves, and so would their parents and search parties who tried to look for them. After that, people have just avoided the place altogether. I don't know why Zippy took off there. She never does anything like that and always stays by me. It was like she could hear something calling her from there. We excused ourselves to discuss things. So what do you guys think? Carl asked us. From what she's telling us, this could be dangerous. Yeah, but we could use the money, I said. Maybe we can get some supplies to help us out, Nick suggested. Good thinking, Carl told him. I'll have to talk with Mindy about it. What he told her was that we'd have to search tomorrow because we needed to spend time getting prepared. She agreed to this and gave us the location of the trailer park. During that time, Carl replenished his salt pack and got some things that he thought might help us, and I got some replacement crutches. They may have been from a thrift store, but they were still new to me. Aside from that, we also did some research. We found out that in addition to the disappearances, there were reports of strange noises coming from the park. Some people say they heard low moans while walking by it. Others say they hear what they describe as staticky screaming. What worries us the most is the last report we read. It said that someone heard the low growling of a large beast coming from it, whose cry they didn't recognize. This place seemed to be the real deal. We just hoped we were prepared enough to deal with it. Why'd you have to tell her we'd be here so early? I muttered to Carl as we were driving to the trailer park. It was nearly 7, and the sky was going from dark to light as the rays from the sun were illuminating it. We're trying to get this done and leave here as soon as we can. Have a rock star, Nick offered, extending the can to me. I downed the whole thing in a matter of seconds. Mindy pulled up in her car shortly after. By then, the caffeine from the drink was thankfully beginning to affect me. As we were getting out of the car, we caught a glimpse of the trailer park. From what we could see, it seemed to be pretty big. I brought some things that might help. From her car, she produced a carrying cage, some doggy treats, and squeaky toys, all of which seemed to be on the expensive side. Carl took the toys and the treats, while Nick got the cage. "Do you have any advice for us before we go in?" I asked. "I wish I did. Good luck." We went to the park's entrance, where a rusted sign that presumably once showed the park's name was lying flat on the ground. On top of it was a toddler sneaker. "Oh yeah, this isn't off-putting in the slightest," Nick said. "Well, we knew what we'd be getting into," Carl told him. "Come on, hopefully this won't take long." That was only the tip of the eerie iceberg that was the trailer park. Seeing people's things scattered about as if they vanished right in the middle of using them felt chillingly unnerving. Unfortunately, none of the items Mindy gave us seemed to be working. She did try them before, however, that was only on the entrance to the park. "This isn't working," I said. "Her dog would be able to hear us by now, wouldn't she?" "Just keep your eyes peeled," Carl replied, shaking the bag of treats and squeezing one of the toys. "Here, Zippy." We went a little while, searching only to come up empty. "Maybe she got in one of the trailers somehow," I said. "Do you guys think any of them can have doggy doors installed?" "It's possible," Carl replied, "but we wouldn't know which trailers do without checking each one." "This is going to take a lot longer than we thought, isn't it?" Nick groaned. "A search of the first trailer Zippy could have entered got us nothing." "One down, like 30 more to go," Nick said. "Man, I hope the others aren't as cluttered as this one," I told him. "I can hardly get any footing with my crutches in here." "Anyway, are we ready to search the next one?" They replied that they were, and we proceeded to the exit. However, upon opening the door, we were greeted with a starry night sky. I closed it, then turned to them. "Did you guys see that too?" They nodded, wide-eyed. "Okay, right now we can see sunlight coming through that window," I said, pointing to it. "Therefore, opening this door again should show us that it's daytime outside. I mean, that seems like sound logic, right?" "It does," Carl replied. "Yep," Nick concurred. "All right, so we're going to reopen this door, and everything should be fine," I told them. Opening the door showed us the same thing. "This doesn't make any damn sense," Nick said. "You can still see sunlight coming from the window, but it looks like it's night outside." Needless to say, this warranted some discussion. "What in the hell could be causing this? Some kind of time anomaly?" I asked. "Maybe we've gone into some kind of pocket dimension," Nick said. "This must be what happened to the residents." At those words, a horrifying realization came over me. "That means we're trapped here too now," I told him. "Oh, fuck no. Who knows what could be waiting for us outside? There's probably monsters waiting to rip us apart, or those ghosts of people who got trapped here." "Pete, Nick, relax," Carl said, interrupting what was about to be a panic attack for us. "What if we tried the window instead?" "Oh, yeah," I said, feeling relieved. "Good thinking, Carl." Trying the window gave us the same result. "Are you fucking kidding me?" Nick yelled. "We're trapped," I said. "We're fucking trapped." "There has to be a way out," Carl told us. "How?" I moved the window up and down to show him confirmation of the situation we were in. Seeing it halfway up, with the window showing sunlight and the open part showing nighttime, felt really bizarre. "I'm not sure," he replied, "but I know we won't find it by staying in here." "All right then," I said. "Let's cross our fingers and hope nothing is waiting to slaughter us when we get outside." With a turn of the knob and opening of the door, we stepped into unfamiliar territory.